following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to The People's View, a program dedicated to discussing local, state, and national issues and their effect on the American people. The People's View provides a platform for state representatives and national figures to present their viewpoint. Whether it's social, economic, or financial topics, you'll hear it on The People's View.
Hello, this is Carl Seidel, as host of People's View, and today we have Casey Crane running for the alderman spot in Ward 2, right?
Yep, Ward 2 alderman, that's
well,
correct.
How about that? And Casey has a lot of experience in the political world until she wonderfully gave birth to a nice young boy.
Yes, my son Matthew is 5 years old, and he went to the House with me many times.
That's right.
I did 3 terms in the Nashua House, and I'm sorry, the New Hampshire House, and he was actually born in between the terms.
That's right.
So he used to come up to the State House with me, and you know, he has just started Charlotte Ave Elementary School.
Oh, so we can talk a little bit about that too.
He's in kindergarten. Yep, he's just started kindergarten. He's in afternoon kindergarten. And it's really, you know, I took a little bit of a break while he was, you know, younger, because I wanted to spend, of course, you know, every minute with him. It took me forever to have him. I had him very late. I was 42 when I had Matthew. But we love him to death. He's just like the center of everything in our world. And, you know, part of the reason I decided to run in Ward 2, and, you know, I see there's a huge at-large race. And I think sometimes the ward races are getting lost a little bit. Right. You know, I was walking around the neighborhood the other day, and I said to someone, well, you know, I'm running for alderman. They said, well, we're voting for David Dean. And I said, well, you can vote for David Dean or Dan Moriarty, and you can vote for me too, because I'm in the ward race, and they're at large. It's 2 totally separate, you know, elections. And, you know, it's basically, I decided I'm running, it's just me one-on-one against Mr. Dowd. Alderman Dowd is our current alderman. I decided that we haven't had any communication. I haven't heard anything hardly about what's going on in our ward. We haven't had a ward meeting in years. And when I first moved in, even before I was a state representative, we would have these great meetings at Charlotte Ave Elementary School. You know, candidates would come in. I mean, it doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican. They just give people the opportunity to meet people. We'd find out about things that were happening in the neighborhood, and all that's gone. You know, there's zero communication in the ward. I'm also concerned, Carl, about accountability. I really, really think that accountability is the basis for good government. You know, if you have accountability, you have good government. So you don't have to go in there and be, you know, constantly at the mayor and negative, or you know, all the time, no. And you don't have to go in there and be a rubber stamp. Yes, oh, that's great, whatever. You know, I think really what people deserve in their government is someone just to sit and to listen, regardless of personalities. Is this a good project? Does it make sense for the taxpayer? Is it something that we need? Is it going to help our quality of life? When I look at the downtown sidewalk project, I look at trees that I think were part of the character of downtown. We had a beautiful downtown. And all those trees are being taken out. The sidewalks are all torn up, and to the tune of, what is it, $4 million? We're not really sure the cost. The accountability, I just don't think is there. I think that money could have been spent in so many other places. And so I'm concerned about communication, I'm concerned about accountability, and I'm also concerned about crime. I was walking along the neighborhood the other night. It was a few months back. And I nearly fell into, and I've gotten pretty fat here, and yet I almost fell into an open drain.
Really?
No cover. It was stolen for scrap metal. I called the police, I waited, you know, they put cones around it. The DPW the next day came and fixed it. But, I mean, never did I think I would have to worry about something like that in Nashua. You know, I moved here kind of, because Nashua was a nice community, I didn't have to worry about crime, it was, and yet all of a sudden I'm walking along in my neighborhood and there's, an
hole.
open hole that,
Yeah.
a child or an animal or anything could have fallen into. And I find out, the police basically said to me, yeah, it is happening, they're being stolen.
Really?
So I think, I'm getting a little concerned about the character, the community
So you
changing.
feel that it's not transparent enough through the organization? I mean, things just happen and we really don't learn enough about them?
Yeah, my concern is, in particular, I have to look at, what is my own ward alderman
Right.
doing? And unfortunately, his record is that, and if you look up his record online, you'll see this, there's one no vote in the entire record, and it was for a stop sign. The rest is all yes. So, I can't believe you can agree,
All the time,
that
yeah.
much, with someone, 99.9% with someone. I think, we have to, again, weigh each issue. There are certain things, the spending that we've done, we went out to bond for a parcel for the rail. Now, I can tell you my husband goes to Boston every day. He works at Logan Airport, so I totally understand people that support the rail and the need for the rail. But much like the Broad Street Parkway, we really don't know yet what's happening with this project. And if you remember with the Broad Street Parkway, we purchased land that later we didn't even need. We didn't even need it because the direction of the parkway changed. So I look at us again going and spending, borrowing money to purchase property, saying, okay, well, we're going to need this for the rail. And I'm just not sure that we really, it was the appropriate time to do that. Just like the downtown sidewalk. I mean, I would have gone more for a repair job on the sidewalks downtown, and maybe put that money into, police, or maybe give it back to the taxpayers, or, I just don't think the timing and the priorities right now are correct. Although, there are other things that we're doing that I like, but again, it's a case by case.
So one of the things that you would do was start your ward meetings.
Yes, absolutely. I want to have, people are busy. I totally get that. I'm crazy busy too. Everybody's
Yeah.
busy. But I think giving the opportunity to the neighbors to come together at least twice a year. I'd like to do it 3 or 4 times a year, but at least
At least
twice
once
a
a
year.
quarter, maybe,
I think
something.
twice a year, either once a quarter or twice a year. We'll start with twice a year, see how people like it. Start with the first one if people want more. I would like to organize, put it in the newspaper that we're having a meeting, get it out to people. Maybe we can do a mailing, let people know there's a meeting. And, we have 3 community crime watch groups that overlap Ward 2. And by the way, Ward 2, just if you're curious, Ward 2 is the whole Charlotte Ave neighborhood. It's also Kessler Farm. It's also Canongate. It's also the property and the neighborhoods that are behind the Tech College. So that's pretty much, Ward 2. I would, Tinker Road is Ward 2. I would say, let's put it together, some neighborhood meetings, and maybe hear from some of the crime watch groups, compare notes. My neighbors had, and we're in a nice part of Ward 2, too. I live, not too far from Charlotte Ave. My neighbors had the windshield broken on their car. And I don't know, is this something that's happening to other people? Is this happening a lot? I would like to see us come together as a neighborhood, maybe give an opportunity for those crime watch groups to get together and give us a little report. And
Well, that sounds very good. I mean,
yeah,
that's what
have some communication.
to let you know that the Nashua Republican City Committee is trying to organize the wards along some concept like that, where we have informational meetings being given by neighborhoods, certain block area, or and have several within a ward. So maybe we could coordinate with you
Yeah, sure.
as far as something like that
And
goes.
social media. We have this wonderful woman actually on Burnside Street that started a Facebook page for the Charlotte Ave neighbors. And of course, that's one section of Ward 2. That's a terrific idea. I think we need to utilize some social media a little bit, be able to let the voters know what's coming up that's important to Ward 2, and,
Sure.
just better communication
I
and
think,
more
you
accountability.
get feedback. I mean, that's what you want. You want
Absolutely.
people to participate a little bit, not just sit around and let things happen to them.
Right, absolutely. And we have an extremely important PTO meeting, which
Oh, really?
will, by the time this airs, will have been over, and everyone will probably see
When
something
does
in the
that
paper.
happen?
It's actually, as we're taping this,
Yeah.
it's tomorrow night, but the issue of tag has come
Right,
up in Charlotte Ave Elementary School, and I'm sure that's going to be a big discussion for our ward for a while, because a lot of us that live in the neighborhood have kids that go to Charlotte Ave Elementary. So that's going to be interesting.
Well, what do you think about the issue then? Can you say what you want to say
Yeah,
now?
I honestly, I think I agree with the principal out of Hollis, and she was quoted in the Nashua Telegraph, and she was saying that, at least for her school, they try to do a little bit more with supervision and with trying to target the kids that might be an
Right.
issue. I think we have to start having some creative solutions. And again, I don't know if this means, it would have been nice to have a meeting just on this issue, kind of bring the parents together on this issue, do a little brainstorming, because I understand there's a problem. I appreciate that at least the principal does recognize that there's a problem, because nobody wants their kids hurt, that's great. But, I think this is a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a little ridiculous. If you're gonna get rid of tag, what are you gonna get rid of soccer next? You're gonna get rid of, what about the
everything
bar? Everything. They could get hurt on anything. So what needs to happen, I think, is more individual accountability. Again, having either parent volunteers that go through a background check that can be out there on the playground monitoring, or, something creative like that, where we have more monitoring of the playground, and so we can spot kind of the kids that are not, that are being too rough, and maybe individually stop that, as opposed to just sort of a blanket approach. I think the blanket approach
with you
just doesn't work.
It looks like that approach is looking at the symptom and not the cause of the problem.
And I'm worried about, my son came home from school, and he's 5 now. He's very smart, but he's 5, and he said, "Mommy, is it illegal for me to play tag now at home?" I said, "No, the school doesn't make the rules at home. Mommy makes the rules at home," which he knows. So I just couldn't believe it. And he said, we were getting really kind of rough in basketball, and I think they're going to stop that now. So, I just don't want my son worried about that. I think
seems like,
he's
though,
5 years old.
They're rough. If they're too rough, you talk to the person. That's not acceptable behavior.
Exactly. I know it's difficult, because the kids today are not, it's not like years ago. The kids are rough, and there's a lot of issues, I think, with kids today being a little more rough. However, it is the same basic issue. You have to watch your kids. You have to watch your kids. You have to watch the kids. So if they need more help with that, again, maybe we can find a creative solution with parent monitors, or something like that, where you could have a bigger presence out on the playground. I think
the teacher, excuse me, the teachers have to be able to discipline the children in some way. I don't mean
that's another issue too. Is you're talking about lawsuits, and you're talking about all of this
understand that
stuff.
part of
So
it.
that's part of what's
maybe
driving
part of
the
it is,
the kind of responses we're getting.
But
now.
you have to have the school board stand up for some of the rights of the teachers. The teachers can teach much better if they have a disciplined.
They need to be able to find solutions that, absolutely, and have the authority to enact some of those.
That's right. We've had substitute teachers on here, and have told us the discipline problem, especially in the middle schools.
Wow.
The middle schools are something where he comes in as a as a substitute teacher. He doesn't really have any kind of authority.
It's a difficult job today. It really, really is. And I understand that they felt as though, this was kind of, a step they're trying to protect the children in their mind. But I just don't think this is the right approach, because I think if you start doing this, you're going to have to rule out anything. Every single game, the kids could get hurt. So, if we need to find a solution together as a community, let's sit down. Let's have a ward meeting. Let's have a, I know they have a PTO, and I'm a member of that PTO. I go to their meetings. I'll be there tomorrow night. But maybe this is something we should have some discussions about. And maybe somebody will have some other ideas. So that's something I feel as though it's not the right approach to just have a one-size-fits-all.
They have a
ban.
a process now to handle bullying, don't they?
Sure. Yeah.
What does that do? This is nothing but a different way of bullying,
right?
By pushing too hard or yelling too much. Or
in a way, yep, that's true. It's again, it all comes back to communication, and this is, Carl, why I think it's important. We need a change in Ward 2. I'm running as the challenger in this race.
Okay.
Even though I was a state
Yeah.
rep, I am the challenger. Mr. Dowd has been there. I need everybody's vote because it's hard to beat an incumbent. It is. You know, he's got his people all out there. I've been being mom for the last 5 years. I've been kind of, you know, out of the political realm, you know. So it's, you know, it's more communication, it's more accountability, it's having ward meetings. I think that's really, when you bring people together, there's always going to be somebody that has some great idea that you haven't thought of. So I think that's the way to go.
Well, good luck in your campaign. Do you need any help? How
Oh,
can
yeah,
people
absolutely.
contact you?
I would love, you know, I'm getting my signs, and they're coming this week.
Right.
So I would love to have some sign locations in the neighborhood, and I do have a website, which is www.ward2nashua and ward2nashua.com, and I am reachable through that, or my email, repcrane, which is when I was a state rep. I
Right.
still have that, repcrane@comcast.net.
Oh, very
So
good.
I would love to have sign locations. If anybody would like to help with that, that would be
right.
great. And tell your friends and neighbors that there is a challenger. I think people are a little confused because there's a lot of signs out there for the at-large races.
Sure.
And I'm not sure they understand, you know,
That
you
is-
can vote for David Dean or Moriarty or
or
whoever you're
whoever.
voting for, you know, you can vote for them and you can still vote for me because I'm in a different race. It's just me or Mr. Dowd.
Okay.
We're running
well,
one-on-one.
Good luck on your future, and you sound like you have a number of good ideas that you want
Well,
to
thank
to
you.
implement.
I love that you're doing this show. I think it's great for the community. I used to be on the CTAB board, so I think it's important that we have a strong public
Yes,
access channel.
definitely.
It's great. Hopefully a lot of people are watching.
you.
We'll get some good information out to the community.
Well, hopefully they'll see you next week.
Yeah, and thank
Okay,
you,
good luck.
Representative. Nice
Thank
seeing
you.
you again.
Thank you for coming.
Yep.
And thank you for listening in. And remember, we're sponsored by the Nashua Republican City Committee. NashuaGOP.org is our website. Thank you very much.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.